good morning. Today, by online learning, we discuss class 10th poem A Tiger in the Zoo, written by Lisile Norris. It's you can Tiger in the Zoo. It's about a tiger that what's the life of the tiger when he is in the cage, and what's the tiger of the life? What's the tiger of the tiger life when he's independent, he's free. We can take an example of today's crisis going on because of COVID-19. All the peoples are in home like a caged. All are caged. Like tiger, when he is in the zoo, he is caged and he don't live that इंडिपेंडेंट लाइफ. वो अच्छे से नहीं जी पाता, उसको भी इंडिपेंडेंस चाहिए, वो भी बाहर घूमना चाहता है, बाहर जाके वांट टू कैच द प्रे, वो सब करना चाहता है. एंड सेम ऑल्सो हैपनिंग विद अस. वी ऑल्सो वांट to get rid of this lockdown and want to live a good life. हम घर पे बंद रहना नहीं चाहते, but we never think about animals. हम कभी नहीं सोचते कि हाँ एनिमल्स को हम जू में रखते हैं तो हमारे उनके साथ भी क्या होता है, वो भी एक इंडिपेंडेंस लाइफ जीते हैं. But now we realizing this thing when it happened with us. So it's a good example. We can correlate this with our life that we are living today because of COVID-19. So let's see introduction of the poem. The poem begins with the description of a tiger that is very beautiful and is walking in his little cage. He has beautiful stripes on his skin and has velvet like soft paws. But the tiger is not happy and is quite angry about being confined in the cage. The poet says if the tiger was not confined to the zoo cage, he would had been hiding himself behind the long grass near some water body in order to catch its prey, that is the deer. Also, he would have terrorized the residents of the villages around the forest area. But the reality is totally opposite to this. He was confined in the cage, which was made up of strong building material, and he was helpless there. He could not show his power to the visitor, therefore, never tried to terrorize them. The tiger is described as being powerless and agonized by the poet. He says that during night also he is alone, hearing the voice of the patrolling vehicles of the police and looking at the stars. The cage life has totally changed the tiger personality. The poet is trying to say that the animal which is famous for its fearlessness and freedom is confined and sad due to the human beings who want to derive pleasure by looking at him in the zoo cage. Now this same situation is happening with also. We are also powerless. We can't do nothing because it's all about our safety. We are in a home. So the tiger is also feeling very powerless, very frustrated that the life he is living in the zoo cage. वो कुछ कर नहीं सकता, वो he can't catch a prey, ना वो अपने आप को independently जी सकता. And human being also suffering the same thing. And what the people do? They kept these animals in the zoo just to derive pleasure from them by looking at them. And this same situation now happen with us. Animals are roaming around all over the empty roads and all, and we the people are living in the home because of this crisis. So it's the best example for this poem that this time came that humans are in the cage and animals are roaming around. So if we have to also suffer the same now. Now let's read the poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage, on paths of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through the long grass, near the water hole where Plump's deer pass. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, baring his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. But he is locked in the concrete cell, his strength behind bars stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars and the stars, and with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant star. Lesile Norris. Now see the explanation of first stanza. Stalks here means follows. Vivid, bright colored pads paws of the tiger. And rage, anger. Now, what's in first stanza? Here the poet is saying the tiger is confined in the zoo. He just don't move. He can't move outside, and his now poet is also describing his physical appearance, bright colored skin. His further says that the tiger can't take only a few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move in it. One cannot hear his footsteps because he was very soft feet like velvet because of which there is no sound of the tiger's footstep. The tiger tries to control his anger by quietly walking in the limited area of his cage. He is angry because he is not free. Why he is angry? Because he is not free. He is confined in the cage. He just move in little bit space and he create a sound. He roar, but nobody is there who can listen because he is in zoo. He is in cage and he is just angry because he is not free. Second stanza. Now, second stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. Lurking here means to be hidden as to wait for your prey, to hide yourself. The poet says that if the tiger was free, he would have hide himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that actual life of tiger is to live in the jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it, but the tiger in the cage cannot do so. Now, in second stanza, poet is telling that he is in the if the tiger is in the forest, his life is different. उसकी जो life है वो different होती. What he is do? He just lurking behind he hide himself behind the long grasses and wait for the prey, that is deer. वो डियर का वेट करता है उसको पकड़ने के लिए और उसकी लाइफ क्या है डिफरेंट होती जू का जो केज है उसकी लाइफ से. इन सेकंड स्टैंजा ही इज टेलिंग अबाउट हिज इंडिपेंडेंसी. नाउ व्हाट्स इन थर्ड स्टैंजा? He should be snarling around houses at the jungle edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Snarling here means warning sound made by animals, bearing uncovered fangs, sharp tooth of animals. Now in third stanza also he is telling about his independency. What first in second stanza he just wait or वेट फॉर हिज प्रे. वो अपने प्रे का अपने शिकार का वेट कर रहा होता ग्रासेस के पीछे छुप के. एंड इन थर्ड स्टेंजा ही जस्ट रोमिंग अराउंड द on the roads and he is just snarling, creating a sound. The poet said that if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the house located on the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the villages. Now, in third stanza, he just create a. Now, what's in third stanza? He should be snarling around houses at the jungle edge, bearing his white fangs, his claws, terrorizing the village. Snarling here means warning sound made by animals, bearing his meals uncovered. Fangs here means sharp tooth of animals. Now, what's in third stanza? The poet is saying that if the tiger would be free, he would be snarling. He is creating a sound for warning sound. And the house is located at the outskirts of the forest. He is just roaming around the roads and roaming in the villages and terrorize people with his snarling, with his sound, with his sharp tooth, with his claws, and this would create fear among the people, and that create fear among the people of the villages. Now what's in fourth stanza? But he is locked in the concrete cell, his strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Concrete here means building made of bricks, cement, and sand and water. Now, in fourth stanza, the poet comes to the reality of the tiger, that he is inside the cage. Now, again, he came back to the reality that he is in the zoo and there is no independency there. He just living in a small cage. He says that the tiger is confined in strong cell which is made of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bar. Ferociousness means his जो उसका एंगर है, जो उसका टेरिबल लुक है, जो रियल लाइफ और रियल जब वो इंडिपेंडेंट रहता है तब जो उसका टेरिबल है वो उसका सारा किसके अंदर बंद है? अभी केज के अंदर, in the bars. He just talks in the cage. He never tried to terrorize the visitor because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitor as he cannot attack them. And as he is in the cage, he cannot terrorize them. The visitors who came there and just took pleasure by looking at him. He hears the la- he hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Patrolling here means to guard, to wiggle. The poet says that in the night the tiger hears the sound of patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are the vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So in the night the tiger hears the sound of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poets want to say that tiger is sad as he is confined in the cage and so he cannot do anything. Therefore he stares at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts toward them. Now its last stanza, the poet is saying that in he is just confined in the cage and he can't do nothing. He even he can't show his power there, and also not terrified the people who visit in the zoo because he is powerless as he is in the cage. So he at night क्या होता है? He just see the patrolling cars and also listening the sound of these patrolling cars of the guard at night. So in the night tiger hears these sounds only and he just stares. He just look towards the shining stars with his shining eyes, and the poets want to say that tiger is sad. As he is sad, he is very angry because his independency is just confined in that cage. उसकी जो इंडिपेंडेंसी है वो सारी confined है, केज में हो चुकी है. And this we correlate with our life also today, that we all are confined in our home because of COVID-19. So now we realize that what the tigers in the zoo is suffering, he is showing his anger, he is showing his sadness, is all true. As all this thing happening with us now, we realize that condition of tiger is true. उसका जो भी कंडीशन है, उसके साथ जो हो रहा है, इंडिपेंडेंस उसकी जा रही है, सब उसको हो रहा है. तो now we realize that thing with is happening with us, so it's really wrong. So I hope you understand this poem, and never harm animals from now. As you want your independency, they also want their independency. So with this, the poem comes to an end. Thank you and have a wonderful day.